we are excited to be with you today because this is all about you. Hedera, the ledger itself, the platform, is just the plumbing. The real magic is what you build on it. It's what you do with it. It's what you are working with each other about that is the real magic of Hedera. And so Hedera is you, and I am just very excited to be here today with you. And in this conference, we are going to be talking about all sorts of interesting things. I'm really looking forward to the talks today. But also, again, the real magic happens when you talk with each other. And conversations can spur things. I am just completely excited about what's going to be happening today. And I will be here all day today. And I just want to thank you for being here. Mance now is going to take us back.
So I was just curious, before we get started, Leemon has already mentioned the last time we did this was in 2018. It's hard to believe it's been 7 years. Just show of hands, was anybody here that's in here today back there in 2018? Tom.
Oh.
Good to see you, Tom.
Wow.
Half a dozen? Yeah. So obviously a lot has changed since then. Let's just sort of take a stroll through memory lane here, because there may be a lot of you that haven't heard this story, or at least not all of it. It really started back in 2012 when Leemon had this idea of wanting to create a new algorithm that would make it possible to maximize security and performance in distributed consensus simultaneously. And he worked on that for years. And we often sat at a particular Starbucks in Austin, Texas, hashing these things out. He'd come up with the ideas, I would be a sounding board, and then he figured it out in 2015. And in 2015, he created what today, of course, we all know as Hashgraph. So at that point, we decided to start a company. It's called Swirlds, still around today. Swirlds is a member of the council even today. But for a couple of years, we focused on building the tech, Leemon proving the technology out formally, and then in 2017, we decided it's time to go ahead and start thinking about a public network. So the world was a very different place back in 2017. It was the year of ICOs, and the government, the SEC in particular, sort of weighed in a big way for the first time in 2017. So we went into the creation of Hedera in 2018, sort of on the downslope of all of this. The 2017 market was on the, was behind us, ancient history, and we were on the downslope. But in 2018, in March of 2018, with some of you being here, and part of that, we had the first introduction of Hedera to the world at large. It was in New York City. We introduced what Hedera was going to be, what it was going to look like in terms of its governance, what the plans were for Hashgraph for the first time. And on the heels of that, we went and raised a lot of money through the course of the summer and started the network late that year, in August, I believe, of 2018. Now, this is pre-open access, so only select groups of people were able to use the network back then to help us ensure that it was ready for prime time. We started working on the governance. We began recruiting council members for the council, and in 2019, February of 2019, we had another large event in Seoul, Korea, Signeal Hotel there in Seoul, and we introduced the first 5 council members of the council, which was a major milestone for us. You could say that we began decentralizing the project from the very beginning with the focus on governance, and introducing those first 5 council members back then was a critical milestone along that path. The network then was opened in September of 2019. So these were still early days, and we were in the middle of crypto winter at that time. And so the network opened in the middle of crypto winter, and through that, and then through into 2020, we just built. That's what you do in the crypto winter, right? In a down market, you build, and we were building. So we continued to recruit council members and add new council members to the council. And we introduced something for the first time that's called the Hedera Consensus Service, which basically exposes the power of Hashgraph to the developer community in a way that had not been done in the market since. In fact, I don't think there's anything like it today in the market. Everything is done through smart contracts, primarily, in the market. We've made it possible to leverage the consensus algorithm directly in the Hedera Consensus Service, which gives us an enormous opportunity for really important use cases, many of which you already know and many of you are developing with. So those are sort of the early years, the development years. Then I would say we went into the growth years beginning in 2021. COVID hit, and surprisingly, everything started to accelerate for us, right? In 2021, we launched the token service on mainnet, and that, of course, is now the bedrock of a lot of use cases, bedrock feature set of a lot of use cases that we're focused on in terms of RWA and all types of tokens. Doesn't matter, just tokens in general are built on top of the token service. In 2022, we continued to add more council members, and we made the decision to open source the code base. The code base had been public from the beginning, meaning that anybody that wanted to could read the code. So there was transparency from the beginning in terms of what was being developed and what was being run on the nodes. In 2022, we formally open sourced it, made it possible for the community at large to add to it, to contribute to that, and to continue to grow the code base. In 23, Stablecoin Studio. So this started the work that we've done to begin building up the stack, is the way I would describe it. We had the full feature set that included smart contracts and HCS and tokenization, but then we decided, let's make it easier for the developer community to build the products and services that they want to go to market with more quickly. Instead of it taking 4 or 5 or 6 months to build a stablecoin solution, we made it possible to create a stablecoin solution and go to market with it in weeks or less. And that is a pattern that you should expect us to continue, and we have continued in various other utilities and kits, toolkits that we've gone to market with and made available to you as the developer community. And then finally, this past year, 2024, we, for the first time for the industry, contributed the code base to the Linux Foundation and formally became part of the Linux Foundation under Project Hyro. That's important because the enterprise community largely uses Linux-based products, and the Linux Foundation makes it possible to market in a different way the work, the code base, the use of Hedera into the enterprise through a different channel than we'd previously been able to directly access. And it's good for the community, right? It's good for the community for the formalization of an open source project to happen in that way. And so far, actually, I'm not positive of this, but I think we may still be the only one. Others, of course, will follow. We're leading in that way, and I'm sure others will follow us into the Linux Foundation in this way. Leemon.
Okay. So you mentioned the Hyro. We have a booth over here for Hyro and one for DREC that I'm about to talk about too. So go see those booths. I'm looking forward to seeing what ends up being put at them. They look very cool. But this Hyro thing, we're the first ones to do it. That's really interesting. Every blockchain is open source, but the first one to actually put it as part of a foundation like the Linux Foundation, I think that's a big deal. And we'll see more coming from that. So stay tuned for more coming from that, but I'm excited that we've done that.